so she's not here all day, every day, thinking, oh, this is straight, this is perfect. So if they're not oriented to midline too well, you want to get them there with your positioning. Throw me a couple of towels right there. The next thing, moving a little bit farther down the line, is positioning of her arm. So if she's flaccid, who knows where her scapula is when she laid down? If she has spasticity affects your scapular retractors. So there you go. You have overactive scapular retractors. You did that. And depressors. Those two are the ones that are affected by spasticity. It's kind of unique. It always follows the same pattern. It only affects certain muscles, and it's always the same. So it makes it kind of easy. So either way, we want to make sure your scapula is in a good position and is protracted. So I'm just on your spine of your scapula and just protracting it and pulling it out. And in the notes, it's got place a towel roll, an 1.5 inch thick towel roll on the scapula itself. It just says like lateral 2/3 of the scapula. You want to make sure it's on the bone, the scapula, and not up underneath it like on rhomboids. You don't want it on that muscle, because if in the presence of spasticity, that muscle's overactive already. If we put something on it, it's just going to tell it to work more. If we have it on the scapula itself, it can keep retracting the scapula and help turn that muscle off. This is listed in the, so we're still in the flaccid section, but that's already in there because you kind of expect spasticity is going to come at some time, so you can go ahead and start doing it already to keep that scapula retracted. Very good, Olga. You're such a great patient. Can you really feel that underneath you?
Yeah, it's not comfortable.
It's not? Maybe once we get the pillows underneath your arm.
I don't know, look at mine.
Yeah, and maybe I could make it a little bit thinner. Yeah, I think it's too thin. So we know the position her arm might get stuck in if she has spasticity. There we go. So we got to position it out of that. We can't let it be there. So we got to abduct the arm, extend the elbow, supinate, and extend the wrist and fingers. Here's where the textbook, the very few places that the textbook and the neuroIFRA kind of protocol differ. The textbook, the green, like the black and green one, has this position for the arm. The neuroIFRA program goes with the patient's arm being pronated in this position instead. Here, really, if they do have spasticity, that this position, sometimes people have a pretty high level of it, and their fingers are just going to stay flexed in this position. And even when someone's totally flaccid, our hands just kind of deviate towards finger flexion to begin with. So the neuroIFRA program has them be pronated at the wrist. That way, fingers can be extended, wrist and fingers can be extended a little bit better than if the wrist is supinated, and they just kind of want to.
Isn't it too high? Like, I mean, it's gonna be. Yeah.
No, we also get the elevation here because quite often people have some edema in the hand. That tends to be an issue when people are the more flaccid end of the spectrum and can't move anything. They get swollen hand and the wrist really. So
usually it's gonna be able to do one side, right?
oh, yeah. Absolutely. It was both sides. That's big problems. Sorry. We got big problems.
Okay.
So arms abducted as far away from the body as possible. I feel like any close to the edge and I'm just gonna fall off. It's gonna fall off the So you do make a little, I've got 3 pillows here, you make a little pillow fort, and then you wanna kinda test it to make sure with over like sneezes or yawns, if her arm's not gonna like tip over and fall off of it. Or abducted, elbow extended, wrists and fingers extended. If you do choose to do that external rotation, supination one, that's not gonna be wrong either. And sometimes patients who have real, oh yeah, I didn't mention this in yesterday's lab. The OTs make resting hand splints where I'm at for the people with spasticity that they sleep in overnight. That it's a splint you can wear and actually sleep in. That goes, you know, past the wrist too. So it extends, keeps the thumb abducted, the wrist and fingers extended. That's a fairly comfortable splint people can wear. That's like a homemade one that they wear. They also make just hand paddles that keep the fingers. It's hard plastic. You're just gonna take your hand down to it and keep it extended. So in the presence of someone with very severe spasticity, that's the position. That's realistic. That's realistic. That's realistic. Sometimes you get it stretched out, you let it go, and it just recoils right back. We'll talk much more about managing spasticity next week.